What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How's everybody doing this awesome Saturday evening? Hope everybody's having a good day, having a good time, enjoying your weekend. Once again, seeing some familiar faces in chat already. Appreciate the continued support. Once again, if you're new here, hit the like button, subscribe. We've had a lot of new faces the last few weeks, so it's awesome to see everybody new, all the returning faces as well. Shout out to everybody in chat. We greatly appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit the link. Make sure you guys retweet that link, put it on Twitter, put it on all the other social media outlets, let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. Come hang out with us. We do this every single Saturday. And as you guys can see, no guests this week. So we just got the three amigos this week. But you guys know we still finna cook it up. We got a lot to talk about. It's been another busy week. 2023 is nonstop. Just every week something big is happening. There's some big news. Something's going on in the gaming industry, and we're here to break it down. So shout out to everybody in chat right now. Six Slayer, Shown to, how you doing? Everybody dropping in later. Appreciate you guys, man. But let me pass the baton off here. I got my two right hand, man. What's up, Fuzz? How you been doing, brother?
Not too bad. What's up, everyone? Glad to be here. Man, been falling into, the Diablo 4 demo. So just getting my feet wet on that. But, man, been a crazy week. Twitter's been a little quieter than usual, but I guess that's a good thing because, some ABK stuff is right around the corner, and it feels like pretty much like what we predicted a while back. Everything looks like it's going to be going good here soon. But, man, a lot to talk about. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, man. Shout out to Diablo 4. I hope you guys in chat are playing it right now. We're going to get to it today. Even if it's not a main topic, we're going to get to it at some point. We got to talk about it a little bit. But shout out to everybody. If you're playing it, go ahead and say it. What you're playing in chat. If you're playing it and what class you're playing, let us know in chat right now. If you guys are enjoying the game, I'm rocking the Druid class, enjoying that a whole lot myself. But once again, in chat, let us know what class you're playing. If you're playing Diablo 4 at all, how you're enjoying it, drop that down below right now for us. We're going to pass the baton over to Mr. Pong, Harvey Pong Soul himself. I already know what you've been playing as well. But how you been today, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back again for another Saturday, a regular Saturday. I had living split screen this morning with my brother Steele, and so we got down to business this morning. I had some things to do this afternoon, so I didn't get to play Diablo like I wanted to today, but tomorrow it's definitely going to be on, and I did play last night with the crew, of course. I missed Mother. I had to get back to her, of course, Lilith, and had to get back into this because the beta is incredible. But, man, what a week. Yet again, a complete shift in energy this week with the CMA coming out and saying, hey, we screwed up some math. We were wrong. But it changed the energy in the community. Like Fuzzy said, a lot of people kind of disappeared into the background. Did the whole, I wasn't talking about this being blocked this whole time, and then just kind of faded away. But we had some of the circus out here moving goalposts yet again and changing the narrative up too as well. So as they're always want to do when these things happen. But gaming is just been crazy. It's been so much fun. I mean, Diablo all last weekend. But I've been getting down to single player stuff again. Strategy games are hot, right? RTS is strategy. You know what I like. And I've been getting down to some Anno 1800 and Civ 6 as well this week. Played a lot of Civ, getting back into that again. I'm really having a great time. It's been a long time since I've actually played an actual Civ game. I played Civ Revolution back on the 360. That was more of a cut down version than it was a true Civ game in a lot of ways. So this is a full-fledged one, and I'm just having a blast, man. Gaming right now is so hot. It's ridiculous. And just enjoying it, man. So Golden Age is here, everybody. So we got a lot to get into. So let's get down to business, BTK.
Man, you're damn right. It feels really, really good to be a gamer. Right now, we're all eating really, really good. Shouldn't be no complaints across the board. We got the negative Nancy's hanging out, in the community. You know who you are, negative Nancy. You know who you are. We don't need to call you guys out. You guys walk around with the signs around your necks. You know who you are.
So. They wear that makeup proudly, man.
Yeah.
They don't even take it off when they go to bed, man. Wake up looking like a clown and go to bed looking like a clown.
And let me do some quick shout outs. Got some people in chat. What's up? We got Phil Jesus Spencer. What's up? How you doing, brother? UK lad, Ashtray, Talos. I saw Bacon in here. What's up, man? Stanley. How everybody doing? Once again, I did ask you guys if you're playing Diablo 4 right now. We need to know. Put it in chat. What class you're playing, what level you are as well. And are you enjoying the game? Drop that in chat right now. Let us know. What's up, Tony? How you doing, man? And retweet the link. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. We're gonna start with the poll of the week. Once again, if you're new here, poll of the week every single Monday on my Twitter. Follow me below. Real easy to do. All the information down in the description. So follow me there. We had almost 500 people. Shout out to you guys that voted on the poll of the week. It's been about 500 every single week. So super consistent. Shout out to everybody. If you want to be a part of that, go follow me on Twitter. Once again, all of that's down below. We had a real fun one this week. And this answer, when I posed this question, I had not played the game yet. So I think my answer might have been different, Pong and Fuzzy, had I already played the game before I asked it. But let me let's get into it. Let's get into it, chat.
I think I said something last weekend.
You did, God damn it. All right. Enough. So you did. You definitely did. So shout out to everybody who voted on the poll of the week. This week's poll of the week: Diablo 4 will be the highest selling game of 2023. That was the poll of the week for this week. So we had 33% said yes, 67% said no. So there was a lot of varying opinion on the actual comments on the poll. Some people still have Hogwarts as being the highest selling game. You got your Zeldas, your Starfields, your Spiderman 2s. Probably we'll get into that for sure later as well. But where we at on this panel? Where we at, chat? Let us know. Is Diablo 4 going to be the highest selling game of 2023? All right. We're going to start with you on this one, Pong, because I'm dying to hear your answer. I definitely want to hear where you're going with this, especially after two doses of the beta.
Yeah. I think I'm at the point where it's a 2-horse race right now. Assuming everything comes out the way that we expect it to. This is going to be a 2-horse race, and it's going to be Diablo and Zelda. Okay. I'm no dummy. Again, you all know that I'm not a fan of Nintendo. I could care less about Zelda. I have zero interest in Zelda. But I'm not a dummy, and I know how big the fan base is, and I know how well Switch first-party games sell, especially something like a Zelda. Okay, this is no joke. Breath of the Wild has obtained legendary status at this point, and this is the follow-up to it all these years later. People salivating, waiting on this game. I don't doubt that Tears of the Kingdom could easily probably sell 30 million plus by the end of the year, 6 months. I would not be shocked if those numbers came out. So Zelda's number one, and then number two it is Diablo. And the reason why I have,
okay. I thought you would go the other way. I'll be honest with you. I thought that would be flip flop.
Nope. But I will. No, I think if you had to have me, I'm just giving you my 2-horse race, right? So I'm just giving you my 2-horse race. If I had to put my money on something right now, I would put it on Diablo. I truly think that Diablo, because it is everywhere, right? It does have the advantage.
Multi-plat.
It has the advantage. It already has a well-established fan base, just like Zelda does, but it has an established fan base across all the platforms. From the sentiment that I'm hearing out here, and again, that's what I like. Our community is small. It represents a very, very, very minute percentage of the entire gamer base. But what you do get is a cross-section of people from all walks of life who hang out on Twitter and discuss gaming in this community with us. And if you look at the sentiment, the overall sentiment, it has been nothing but extremely positive for this experience that we are getting in the beta. Extremely positive. And the other thing that I'm seeing now, and it's starting to grow with this open beta, is people who have never played Diablo before jumping into this beta and going, I'm loving this. And that means that crossover, right, that we talk about, like like Elden Ring did with Souls games, right? If you hit that crossover mark, and Diablo's already got a bigger fan base than even Souls games did when Elden Ring were released. based, right? So if you hit that crossover and you are not pissing off your old fans, which, yes, there are always going to be critiques of everything when it's got a rabid fan base like Diablo does. We see it in everything. But if you don't piss off a lot of those people, and a lot of those people, even if begrudgingly, still play the game, even if they do have critiques, and then you hit the masses as well as an accessible level style game that you are famous for, and those masses can jump into it, even though they've never played any of the other ones, and say, yo, I like what I'm playing here. This is fun. This is now something for me. I didn't know I was a Diablo fan, but now I'm a Diablo fan. If you hit that mark, and it seems like this is kind of happening with Diablo 4, then that's when you're talking the big, big numbers. And again, I think Diablo is doing that right now. And assuming that this experience that we're getting in the beta represents the entire game, assuming they don't have any big screw ups or any big problems on launch, I think Diablo, at the end of the day, if I had to put my money down, will be the biggest seller. And I would not be shocked to see that 30 million mark for Diablo by the end of the year either. I know that's huge. I know that's very high. There's a lot of games to play this year. Diablo's special. Zelda's special, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Spider-Man 2, obviously. I know Spider-Man 2 is going to do big numbers. It's just that it's a limited base over there. It's got a smaller time frame to accomplish it by the end of the year. And of course, with Starfield, I think Starfield's still going to sell extremely well. But with Game Pass, it is going to cut down on those numbers a little bit. But again, that's not to say I expect Starfield to announce that they've had 25 million players by the end of the year, right? That's what I'm expecting. Not necessarily sales, but players. So that's why I got my money on Diablo right now.
Okay. I like that assessment. And there's a couple critical things here. Now, once again, I asked this question. I made the poll before I actually got a chance to play the beta. Now that I've played the beta, you guys know I am a Diablo noob, admittedly. Pong, Fuzz, you guys know, right? I just got into Diablo a few months ago. So maybe 3-4 months ago, I just got into Diablo. I think it was about 3 or 4 months ago. So
that's correct.
Yeah. Yep. So for me, the definition of like a special game, and this is where Diablo kind of separates itself. And there's a couple things. Now, shout out to Zelda, shout out to Starfield. Those games are going to be huge. Zelda's going to be, like you said, that could potentially hit 30 million before the year is over. I do think it has a great chance. Game of the year, there's almost always going to be a Nintendo game nominated, especially if it's one of their mainline Nintendo games. That's all. You can almost pencil that in for a Game of the Year nomination.
Of course.
Yeah, you can pencil that in right now. And let me get this quick super chat real quick. Shout out to Jay Rimber for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. He said, one time for the homies Pong and Fuzz. Salute, Blam. Salute, Jay.
Hey, what up, Jay?
You, bro. Shout out for the $2 super chat. Once again, if you do want to support the show even further, you can join. You get a bunch of cool emotes, a bunch of cool emojis to put in chat as well too. Got some other things coming, but shout out to appreciate you, Jay. Thank you so much. So just to dive back in here, so a couple things Diablo 4 has going for it, Pong, and I like that you highlighted a couple things. One would be there's probably going to be DLC, right? Like at some point we're going to get more Diablo 4, some DLC tacked on later on. I can't say that for Zelda, right? So I mean, if we're talking just 2020, 2024 or 2023, I think it does help that there is almost a consensus. Like we all know that at some point down the line we have more Diablo 4 to look forward to. I think that might help the game as far as legs too. And I don't know if Zelda has that. Will it matter? Who knows, right? Nintendo fans are crazy. They buy everything. So it might not even matter at the end of the day. I do think that is something to I do think that is something to think about though when you're talking to have this actual discussion. And he's right. Like people forget, Pong. Like we might have to get into that and go off the beaten path here a little bit.
Yeah.
How big Diablo actually is, how iconic Blizzard, what they created actually is, because like you said, I think people forget, even with 3 was pretty successful, 2 being more successful. Like people forget how big Diablo actually is.
They do, because again, it's much like the Bethesda. When I talk about Bethesda, right, and people forget what Bethesda launches mean because we don't get them very often. It's not a yearly release like a Call of Duty is, right? So people are always more, They pay more attention to what's right in front of their face. And then when things go away for a while, even if Diablo 3 is still existing, they're still supporting it, people are still playing it, it kind of fades into the background noise and people forget what it was like when it first launched. We see that with Bethesda titles. So Diablo's the same way now. It's been gone. What we figured out, Diablo 3 was 11 years ago? Is that right? Something like that.
Crazy,
back on 360 when it launched. So we haven't had a brand new Diablo launch in a long time, right? They've been updating Diablo 3. It's a totally different game than it was when it launched, but we haven't had an official Diablo brand new game for a long time. So people just have that memory hole when it comes to these types of games. And then you got to consider too, PTK, this industry has grown exponentially since the 360 days, right?
Man.
Exponentially, right? So
there's been many reasons to forget. Even games as big as Diablo, we've had games come along. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, we've had these generational type games. So to be honest, there's been a lot to distract us, even as great as a game as Diablo was.
Right, exactly. And that's what happens, that we have whole generations that have never touched a Diablo before. Maybe they fooled around with the 360 or with the Diablo 3 at some point, but they've never experienced a Diablo launch. So they don't understand how big it is unless you are in that community, unless you are a Diablo fan, unless you game on PC and everybody's talking about it all the time. You don't understand it. So that's what people forget. Diablo 3 for as not a good launch as it was for Diablo 3, it still has wound up selling 30 million copies.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it is 10 plus years old.
Yeah, no, it took a while, right? It took a while, but again, that's the difference between then and now that I'm talking about. Now, Diablo 4 is on a lot of people's radar. Like everybody is waiting for it. And now that they put out the beta and they have seemingly listened to all the critiques that they got about Diablo 3 and have come back to the style that more people were asking for again. Now it's a blend, but the fact that they listened and are seemingly pulling it off, that's what changes this narrative. It goes from being what would be still a good seller, no matter what, at the end of the day. That's what pushes you up into that great selling, mark, or phenomenon type selling mark, because everybody needs to play it because all my friends are playing it, right? Yeah. And that's what this type of game is, right?
You need that,
need. And even Diablo 3 set a record back in the day for selling 3.5 million copies on PC alone in 24 hours. So... that's what I'm saying. And that was back on a game that didn't come out to the best fanfare. That came out an entire two generations ago, where the gaming community was nowhere near the size it is now. Things have changed. So that's why I'm saying I think Diablo could pull this out.
No, I agree. And you made a lot of great points here. And once again, chat, let us know. We'd love to know if you're playing Diablo. What class are you right now? What's your level? How you been enjoying the game? Drop that in chat right now. Shout out to everybody hanging out. What's up, Lewis, Zinc, everybody, man. Talos hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Hit the subscribe button. So like the video as well. We appreciate you guys. Get that algorithm going. You guys know how we love that. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Now, once again, I'm a noob. Fuzz is a noob as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you've been playing a bit, Fuzz. What's up, K, man? What's up, brother? Shout out to you. What's up, Blue, as well? But you've been playing this a lot. You're a higher level than me currently. We talked about this pregame. Yeah. So, and where are you at as far as just the question, and then just what do you think about the overall game?
All right. As far as the question of if it'll be the highest selling game, it has that potential, but I think there's an elephant in the room that's going to kill some of that potential.
I know where you're going, Buzz.
I was going to bring it up. That this is going to be a quick to 20 million range. But the thing that's going to slow that a good bit down is going to be sometime late June when this thing falls into Game Pass. I think that's the only thing that slows that number. Like I think in the long term, this thing is going to reach 30, 35 mil. Yeah. But I think it might take like a 2-year span to hit it. But I think it gets to 20 mil extremely quick. Like this thing comes out the beginning of June. Let's say the ABK deal isn't announced at that point. I have no doubt that this thing gets 12 mil within like the first week. if not 20 mil within the first week. But the thing that'll slow it down after that is just that it's going to be in Game Pass. Now, will that hurt it in the long run? I don't think so. For the fact that one, you'll have more people playing. Two, you'll probably have more people buying like the add-on content or upgrading their basic in subscription version to the deluxe or whatnot. But I just think it misses the mark in 2023 by a couple mil just because it has another easier way to access it. But as far as the game itself, I'm not your traditional dungeon crawler type, gamer.
Yeah, same here.
Me and PTK kind of fell into that with what do you call it? Minecraft Dungeons. Like that was, I guess, the big
and
entry
Torchlight
drug.
As well.
I guess you could say,
Torchlight as well on Game Pass.
Yeah, and with that being kind of like the gateway into that style game, this definitely fills that niche to the point where I remember way back in the day things like Gauntlet, but Gauntlet's like arcade stuff. It's not as serious as this, and having this range of builds and rarities and difficulty levels and combinations between what your character's powers are versus your squad if you're going in as a group. But this game is awesome. I pretty much just like flew through level 1 through 19, just kind of getting used to it. I'm trying to theory craft some of the stuff. I'm going in as a sorcerer now, just because I wanted to kind of see if I can do some of the things that I envision, like having everybody electrocuted and either drown them in water while they're electrocuted or set them on fire and then or freeze them and then set them on fire so they shatter and stuff like that. So just playing around with a lot of different kind of things. But man, this game was not originally on my radar. I know earlier in the year you picked up Diablo 3, and I was like, I'll wait until Diablo 4 comes out. I'm not gonna, hit the back catalog just yet because I have enough stuff that's already in either the back catalog or stuff I play in the regular rotation. So I'm kind of glad I waited to some extent, but given that games like Division now, considering how Ubisoft has got that thing kind of like on life support, and that was like my normal daily drug type of deal. It's like, oh, I can do a couple hours, run a couple missions, even though I'm not picking up any new gear because I already have all the stuff maxed out that I want. But just the normal routine of going through stuff, it's like now that game is a shadow of what it should be in my opinion. But Diablo is going to be a nice substitute in that place. So I'm looking forward to when this thing releases. I kind of was laughing at Jez's post earlier today. He's like, yeah, they should just release this in early access, even if it's just like Act 1 is the only thing you can play, because it's going to be kind of hard to kind of not play this the next 2 months while we wait for it to come out officially. But, I'm enjoying it.
All right, let me get to this quick $5 super chat. Shout out to Alvin for the $5 super chat. Appreciate the support. He said, "What's up, amazing people? Most played new games of the year will be D4, Starfield, and of course Counter-Strike 2. Zelda pulling up the rear, in my opinion." That's a great. We can't forget about Counter-Strike 2. That's going to be huge. I think they're doing 1.5 mil over there on Twitch right now. So with Counter, and that's the old Counter-Strike. We're not even talking about the brand new one. So that's
Counter-Strike's a perfect example, right? PTK. You don't think about that game, and yet here it is, month in, month out, day in, day out, 1 whatever million players, right? It's just stupid, but you just never think about it. I'm not a Counter-Strike guy. I played a little bit with CS:GO, and that's it. And then it fades into your memory. And you don't realize that there's a billion people daily playing that dang game, right? It's stupid like that, how that memory works. But CS2 is going to be huge. It's going to be gigantic at the end of the day. But, again, we just don't think about it that way because we're not interested in it.
No, for sure. So
it's that PC life. Wait until I'm under the impression they're going to bring it to console, but we'll see how that transitions then. But yeah, PC guys, that's and international, that game is pretty much always been like the top runner for decades now, it seems.
No, for sure. So Diablo 4 is going to be special. And after playing for a few hours, I'm probably about 3 hours in, maybe a little bit more. I played for a while today. I'm not going to lie. I pretty much played all day. So, so I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the hell out of the game, playing with Druid. First time switching up. I usually go sorcerer. I'm a warlock sorcerer guy all the time, but I decided to switch it up this time, having fun with Druid. And like you guys said, it's hitting everything that it needs to hit, man. Now, minus obviously the first couple hours of game drops, it's kind of torture getting into the games. The queues are usually long, but usually they tend to scale up pretty quickly, and by a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours, you generally don't have those long queues anymore, and you're able to, like, as of this morning, you're able to jump right in the game, really no issue at all. So no line or anything that you need to wait in. So they're scaling up pretty quickly. I think that may be the only thing that slows it down if it has that type of start. But if they're ready right out the gate, this thing is going to be massive. It's going to take up everybody's summer. You see it all over. And like you said, Pong, I think the key here is it's really hitting all it. The game has to be good. Yeah. Hogwarts only worked because the game was good.
Correct.
The gameplay was good. The world design was good. Everything was a elite, above where it needed to be, and exceeded expectations. And you really need to do that. And I think D4 is doing that. You even seeing some of the I'm seeing some of the hardcore crowd come around as well, Paul. And that doesn't happen very often, especially in a game that's as critiqued and criticized as Diablo is. Correct. You're seeing that hardcore group come around too. And that's a big deal, Paul. You got to have that if you're going to be doing 20, 30 million, in the first 6-7 months, right?
Yeah, you do. You have to grab, you can't, again, you're never going to make everybody happy. Yeah. But the bigger percentage of your core fan base that you keep happy, or like I said, even if there are some critiques, the game overall, they still go, all right, I'm still going to play it because it's Diablo and I would love Diablo and I got to come play it no matter what, right? Mm-hmm. As long as you still have that, that's what you build off of. That's what we've seen other games in the past lose, right? And forget that core base is still important. Even if you're trying to expand to a more mass appeal type game, you still need to keep your core happy because they're the ones that drive everything. They're the ones that are first in line. They're the ones that are out there telling everybody to go play the game, etc. So that's really still an important part of the marketing tool. So they do seem to be doing nicely in that department. Like I said, I've seen some fair critiques. Some people want it to be more hardcore, which you're going to have in this type of game when you get a looter, when you get stats. You guys know it from Division days, right? Oh, yeah.
The analytics crowd,
the meta, you gotta have everything right for that crowd, right? And so if you take a lighter approach with the stats, which Diablo 4 definitely has, and now people have also experienced, and I brought this up before with Path of Exile, which changed things as well in this genre, and you can see the influence. Diablo team definitely looked at Path of Exile and took some things from Path of Exile. That's what the hardcore look for. But again, it doesn't have to be like perfect. You don't have to make a game just for them, and you can still hit the nail on the head. And I think that's what Diablo 4 has done here. Again, the passion from this team in this project is palpable when you're playing the game. This is not something they took lightly in any way, shape, or form. They wanted to make sure that they appealed to the old school Diablo fan along with the new school Diablo fan and along with those players that may have never touched Diablo game before. And so far, they're striking a correct balance. Again, with these games, going back to Division, it's all about the end game, right? And that's what we're not going to find out until full launch. What's the end game look like, right? What is it like after you hit 100 and get to Paragon level? What are you doing then with your characters, right? That's where these games make their bread and butter, right? And so that's what we're going to have to wait and see on. But right now, I've got the utmost faith that Blizzard has nailed this, and they're going to do that as well.
Same. I'm 100% sure. Like, I don't feel a single shred of doubt at all after playing, the beta for hours today. I'm diving right back in after the show, chat. Mm-hmm. I'm diving. Like I said, let us know if you're in chat right now. I need everybody. Put your character in chat. Drop it in right now and your level. Let us know what character you've been playing, the level you're currently at if you've been playing Diablo 4. I'd love to see that. Let us know. I'm playing right after the show for sure. So hit me up. All that information is down in the description below, man. We having a ton of fun with the game. My current game of the year. Yes, I said it. Please record this. What do they say usually? Cap that. I think
Clip
is
it.
what they clip it.
Clip it.
God damn it. Now I sound like an idiot. Clip it, yeah.
You're such a boomer, PTK.
God, that sounded terrible. This is the first time I have to ever edit anything out. I'm editing that out. But anyway, shout out to everybody in chat, man. Once again, let us know. Yeah, I'd love to see that kind of stuff, man. I'm a nerd for stuff like this. Please show us in chat what your level is, the character you've been playing, how far you are, how much you've been enjoying the game. We love to see. Because I'm sure you guys are noobs and I'm probably a better player. It's okay. We'll get to that later. But yeah, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on to the next topic. But shout out to everybody who partakes in the poll of the week once again every single Monday. So look forward to that on Monday. Follow me down below. So we're gonna move on. Next person up. We're gonna start with you on this one, Fuzz. Where we going this week? Where are you taking us, Fuzz?
Let's see. I'm thinking we could probably go a little messy this go around. Yeah, let's do the Redfall Fallout about it being taken away from PS5. Harvey Smith, in a recent interview, had talked about, Microsoft came in and it was a big change with a capital C kind of thing. And, it for the most part, he played or he responded in a way where he showed the benefits of it being that, they had originally worked on or were thinking about doing a PS5 version, but narrowing it down to just one, platform as far as just on Xbox, as far as like console and PC, makes it a lot easier for them for optimization purposes, as well as just the overall focus of the game. And with that interview, so started the fallout on Twitter and even some, gaming media articles about how Phil Spencer is a liar, 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 pants on fire. How he said he would never take away games from, gamers and so forth. But yet this was a game that had not been released and had not had an available PS5 version to be removed from a storefront. So it's not like it was taken away in that sense. Although the irony from this is that a lot of the PS5 or PlayStation nation as a whole would look at Redfall and say, "Oh, it's mid-fall. Oh, that it doesn't look all that great. It looks like Left 4 Dead, but worse." And now all of a sudden they're crying in their shirts about, "Hey, Phil took this away from us. What, CMA, you see this?" Which we all know how the CMA feels about the whole, console market at this point. But I'll start this with, as far as a question with for you, Pong. Given the, I guess, ever moving goalpost that the clown show, as you call it out there, keep on moving or changing, what do you think will be their, I guess, next either critique of Redfall or complain about Xbox in regards to Redfall, considering, they won't have access to it unless they decide to use their $5,000 gaming rigs or so?
Fuzzy, you're asking me to put on clown shoes, brother. I don't. Man,
that's a stretch.
Yeah, that's a big stretch. Where are they going to go next? Well, obviously, the next step that always happens, Fuzzy, is come launch. Fuzzy, that's the next step. Come launch, then we're going to take a microscope to the graphics. Then we're going to start talking about, look at the Microsoft money that went into this game. Microsoft ruining another studio because they're going to look at the Metacritic score. Let's say the Metacritic score doesn't hit well, right? They're going to take that and run with that, of course, as they always do. I've talked about this plenty of times when it comes to what they are waiting for all the time. And what they're waiting for all the time is Phil to say something that they can do the liar thing again.
Mhm.
I don't know what they have for Phil outside of the fact that he has made Xbox relevant again, and that he has changed the game, forcing their favorite company to adapt and put them into an uneasy spot. They, for whatever reason, hate Phil. They legitimately want him to quit. They don't want the gaming industry to change. They don't want to, move into the digital era. They want everybody spending $70 on physical copies for the rest of their lives, even up to $100, as some of them have claimed they'd be willing to pay for quality. This is what they do, though. They wait for Phil to open his mouth, and then something like this happens. And again, there's not even any way to talk about this because it's so intellectually dishonest that there's just no proper response, because you go back, it's on video and you can hear what Phil says. As so many people have pointed out time and time again, everything he says is in line with exactly what has happened. Even Sony themselves in the ABK deal said that there was no problem with the ZeniMax deal. Now, they brought up the ZeniMax deal as an example of what could happen, but they didn't say anywhere in there that we were expecting Redfall on PlayStation 5 and Xbox came in and bought ZeniMax and, crushed ripped up the contract and said, you can't have it. And for a fact, they would have done that, Fuzzy, had that been a part of the deal. Had there been any agreement in place, that's exactly what would have happened. So for me, the goalpost shifting, you can kind of predict some of it because it's the same things over and over again. But at the end of the day, Redfall is going to come out and Redfall is going to be the game that it's going to be. And again, I'm an Arcane fan. I have the utmost faith. I'm hyped for this game. Everything I'm seeing is amazing. The previews that we had this week from the influencers, the community members, the media that went out there and got to play it. It was really good. There was critique of the game, which
definitely
was to be expected. Again, Arcane games don't hit for everybody. Like, that's been the big deal. Arcane has been critically successful, but they haven't always been commercially successful with their games. For whatever reason, their games just don't hit with everybody. So I was expecting some critique, and they're trying something new for the first time that they've never really done before, which is a co-op multiplayer experience. So they're going outside of their comfort zone. So I expected that there was going to be some critique here. But overall, what I heard, since they all got to play single player only, not the multiplayer, which is what I was excited about anyways, that knowing that I can jump in this game as a single player Arcane game, I heard nothing but really great things. The stealth was awesome. You can still, go about your objectives in all different manners. They open up the, different pathways to completing it. You can go, you can go loud if you want to, but it's going to cause problems for you, or you can stealth. So all of that was sounding great to me. So no matter what, at the end of the day, Redfall is going to come out. It's going to be an Arcane game, and it's going to be something new. It's a brand new IP. It's going to be exciting. Whether or not it has legs, we will see. But that doesn't matter. The game is still going to be good no matter what. And it has the potential to be great if they nail a couple aspects of it. It could surprise some people at the end of the day. So that's what I'm excited for. The circus over here. And I know I kind of went away from your question, Fuzzy, because it's very hard for me to put myself in the clown shoes, right? It's very hard for me to judge. Like I said, I know for a fact that when it drops, it'll be compared to all of their bangers that they have. It'll be questioned about what Microsoft management didn't pull off, why the delay, and it still looks like this, or we still have this problem here. They're going to put it underneath the microscope. They're going to do what they always do. And again, if the Metacritic isn't it, that's going to be the number one thing. More Game Pass fodder. Look, they made Arcane make this game, even though Arcane has said explicitly this is the game they wanted to make for a long time. In fact, they started working on it prior to the ZeniMax deal. So that's not going to matter. They don't care. They're going to lie at the end of the day. They are intellectually dishonest people. And that's why it's hard for me, because I don't even interact with them, because there's no point. Again, somebody like that is intellectually dishonest, you're not going to win. You're not going. There's no changing their mind. There's no coming to agreement. Nothing. That's who they are. So it's sad. And I hated to see the Phil stuff again, but I think it got put to bed pretty quickly because everybody started pulling the clips of Phil, not the out of context clips, but the full clips where he explains it in detail. exactly what's going to happen with these games, and that's exactly what happened with Redfall. There was no contract. There was no announcement of any platforms whatsoever. There was no deal in place. You can't take away something that never truly
Never
existed.
Yeah.
It existed in a state, in a form. Of course it did, because again, this game was being built prior to the deal. They were a multi-platform studio. Of course there was a PlayStation 5 version in development, but it never was finished due to the acquisition, which means it's not something that got pulled away. There was nothing in place to say this was going to be a PlayStation 5 game at the end of the day. You could flip it around and say, who knows? Xbox could have come in and bought it exclusive, right? So then what? Then what? Again, nothing says that this was taken away from them just due to this. And Phil never said that that wasn't going to happen. He said that anything that's already existing, legacy titles, will remain, and anything that has contractual agreements attached to it, we will honor those contractual agreements. Anything outside of that, case by case basis. Period. End of story.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you for your thoughts on that. And yeah, I figure putting on the cloud shoes is probably not the best approach, but man, it was just so. It was like odd to me that so many people were now all of a sudden complaining. Like before, these people were the same ones that were like, "Oh, that's not a game that I'm interested in. It's not like the bangers we have over here." And then now all of a sudden it's like, don't take it away.
It's just weaponized. That's all it is, Fuzzy. They just weaponize whatever they can. It doesn't matter what they've said in the past. They weaponize it. That's all they do. It's stupid. Anyways.
So I'm gonna change it up a little bit. So PTK,
Yes,
of all of the stuff that basically was unveiled after the embargo, as far as the influencers that went over there and some of the playtime that they were able to get through and everything, and some of the feedback that some of them were able to provide, what was some of your biggest takeaways from that event where they had the media as well as influencers over at Redfall or Play Redfall?
Well, I mean, it's well recorded on the show before that. I was always on board for Redfall to begin with. I'm a fan of Arcane. I'm a fan of Dishonored. Big fan of the series. Fan of the work that they do. The fan of the art style. They have this particular niche kind of art style that they do very well. Like you said, it's not accepted by everyone. It tends to be a slow burn. People forget Deathloop was a Game of the Year nominee. So as much as you want to talk about, one of their most recent games actually got a Game of the Year nomination. So they are doing pretty good, all things considered. So I do understand people with the knee-jerk reactions when that information was dropped. People try to take what Phil said was out of context. Where are we at, man? It's been 2 years since this deal was done. Why are we even still talking about this? Is the first question. That's the first thing I always ask. Like, why does this keep coming up? Like, why do we keep having a double back on this? Because if the shoe was on the other foot, we'd never hear about this again. We never talk about this. This never will be a conversation at all. And we all know that. Yeah. So, none of us can sit up here. I don't care if you want to act like you're neutral. I play on PC. We don't really care. Yes, you do. Because you're part of them conversations as well. So ultimately, at the end of the day, this game was not removed off of a storefront. This game was a concept. There was a version, made as far as a PlayStation version, but that was not, that was not put publicly made. That was not an expectation. We weren't even aware that the game was a thing yet. So this idea that the game was taken away from PlayStation is a bit ridiculous. And it's nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, come on, we need to grow up. It's okay. You know what I mean? But ultimately, I really want to focus more on just how I feel about the game, because all that other stuff, like you said, is pretty difficult to put yourself, in those shoes. We don't tend to do that here at the Shop Podcast. We always try to lead with integrity here. We do get muddy. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes we get a little muddy and petty, especially with the Nintendo stuff. But we're obligated to do that. But I kind of want to focus just on Redfall as a whole, because I feel like we really just need to highlight the game at this point. The game, from all intents and purposes, what I've heard, what I've read, what I've seen, the game looks phenomenal. I can't wait to dive in. It's actually bigger than I expected. People did enjoy the single player narrative stuff more. That was actually a bit surprising. They enjoyed that. I did hear a lot about the environment and the world was actually really, really good. The way they built the world, the way everything felt as you kind of explored and walked around the world, that was great. That was kind of a highlight of everybody's a highlight of a lot of reviews that I saw as well too. So I'm really excited about that. I didn't hear much about like loot. I don't know. Maybe you did, Pong. I don't know if you guys saw any reviews highlight the loot system more. I didn't hear much about how that all worked. I would have kind of liked to hear a little bit more about that because
Yeah,
you know
no,
me, I'm a loot guy.
Nobody really went into depth
Yeah,
about the loot. I've heard some things about it through some of the stuff that we've gotten, but
Yeah.
nobody really that I'm trying to think of. I listened to like I don't know 4 or 5 of them, and I don't think some people talked about the different stakes. Some people did talk about the different levels. Who was it? Somebody did talk about the levels of gun because they were given high level gear out the gate, right? They were
wow.
already
Okay.
put up in a high level when they were playing the game, so they had a high level sniper rifle and silenced pistol, right? And they said that they could tell that level would determine what type of attachments came with it and all that kind of stuff. I think that's about the one thing I heard from it. I can't remember who was talking about it either, but yeah, I did hear that. So, but it was a little skewed because they were already, at the upper tier levels because they wanted to give them some skills and some skill points and that kind of stuff to play around with.
Yeah.
So a little bit
give them the
different.
full experience.
Yep.
So that's a bit of a right. That's a bit of a you know what I mean? Like that's a bit of a kind of a how would I say it? Kind of an isolated situation, right? So with that being said, knowing that they were kind of starting off at a high level, I didn't hear much in chat. If you guys saw review chat or you guys saw an impression that they did highlight, the gun, not gunplay, but the gear and the loot and how that all worked, and they had an opinion on it, let us know, on Twitter, whatever the case may be. I'd love to see somebody, kind of go in depth on that because I didn't see anything about it. But ultimately, outside of that, I'm super excited for the game. Big Arcane fan. I do think the game. I guess, like I said, the biggest thing for me and the biggest thing for me was some of the stuff that they highlighted. And outside of the loot stuff, I got that. So I'm not too upset and I'm not too like my expectations were like shot or this is not on par with what I thought. I'm not even going Metacritic. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not even, I don't want to do the Metacritic thing. I see y'all in chat. I saw some of y'all earlier. Y'all was doing the Metacritic stuff. Like I saw y'all, but it's okay. We have fun here at the podcast, the Shop Podcast. So a shout out to everybody in here hanging out with us, man. Appreciate all you guys, man. Retweet the link. Let everybody know we are live. But that's where I'm at with it, Fuzz. Okay. I don't really. I'm not really gonna be. There's not much gonna move me from where I'm already at on Redfall, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, for me, the big takeaway outside of the clown show stuff was guns aren't going to be as effective on the vampires, which is kind of to be expected, unless you have like a stake gun. But it looks like the weapon of choice will always have some sort of like bayonet that's a stake. So you'll at least have that to do that satisfying, kill stab kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a stun. You had to stun the vampires, right, Fuzzy?
Yeah.
And then go up and melee them with the stake and kill them that way. That was a big thing. Yeah. Yep.
And then the other approach would be to do like it's still kind of a stun, but it's like that freeze thing with the UV light. The only thing that they were saying that I know that we may have to be careful of is like the red mist. So when they explode, not just the blood bag ones, but any of them when they die, I guess they leave like a red mist and you'll take some environmental damage, I guess you could say, to some extent. But I guess the best thing is to try and not get too bloody. It's about the best way to put it. But yeah, overall, it looked like, I guess the help that they got from id as well as Machine Games helped with the gunplay, because it didn't seem like, I think other than one influencer were saying that, gunplay was to their liking or felt satisfying, especially the killing of the vampires. But that's less the gunplay and more the melee aspect of it. But overall, this is a game that I'm definitely looking forward to come May. But man, it's going to be hard fitting in time between each one of these games with Diablo as well. But greatly appreciate your guys' feedback on that. Twitter, I know, is just going to be a crying zone here for probably the next few months, especially once this ABK deal clears. But yeah, I just thought it was weird. All of a sudden, people are taking interest in Redfall for all the wrong reasons. Well, not wrong reasons, but for fake reasons. As far as now, they want it because it was taken away, or at least that's how they view it. But can't take something away you didn't actually have in hand or installed or available to install. So, but that's all. Sorry for for going sideways on that one, but hey.
Heck
it's all
no.
good.
No, it was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun.
no,
There's a lot of
you're
different ways you
good
can
on
approach
that.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely,
absolutely.
definitely. So shout out to you, Pong, and shout out to everybody in chat, the RWK88, everybody, man. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. Once again, hit the subscribe button if you are new. That's how we do things here at the Shop Podcast. No guests this week, just the three amigos. So show your love. Make sure you go follow Pong. Make sure you go follow Fuzz. Make sure you go follow Jarhead. All of the people on here at the panel at the Shop Podcast. Appreciate the love and support, man. Now we are passing the baton off to the Duracell battery here at the Shop Podcast. Pong Harvey, where are we going, man? Where are you taking us this week?
Well, we got to change. We got to talk about the energy shift this week that happened with the ABK deal.
All right.
Again, hey, listen, the thing is with this news, I saw even people that are extremely frustrated by hearing this all the time actually go, oh, at least we have light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was even those people that took a big sigh this week that said, finally, we're getting close to being done. And of course, if you weren't around, if you were asleep all week and didn't catch the late breaking news on the 24th, so just yesterday, CMA put out a tweet and put out a post concerning their provisionary findings. They put out an official government.uk document, and they said that they had now agreed with Microsoft that the Call of Duty situation, they had no concerns that it would impact the console market space. And they had now narrowed their scope down to the cloud market. And basically what it came down to, and I'm going to read from Tom Warren at The Verge because he breaks it down beautifully. But basically it came down to a math problem. So again, folks, education is important. Math is important. Okay. If you're a regulatory body looking at $70 billion deals, you might want to learn how to put formulas together. All right. You just may want to make sure you double check those tables, that addition, that multiplication, and that division, and make sure it all works out before you come to a conclusion or the starting of a conclusion that may affect a $70 billion deal. Thank God Microsoft and the attorneys over there were like, yeah, wait. Hey guys, hold up. Your math, you get an F. We just graded your paper. You get an F. This is all wrong here. You guys need to go back and fix this, because once they fixed it, that's when this came down. So I'm talking about this. This is again from Tom Warren at The Verge. UK regulator sides with Microsoft over Call of Duty on PlayStation concerns. The UK Competition and Markets Authority has updated its financial models after Microsoft publicly criticized its math. You thought I was lying. If you guys didn't hear this, I wasn't lying. This is what it came down to. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority has now sided with Microsoft over concerns the software giant could remove Call of Duty from PlayStation if its proposed Activision Blizzard deal is approved. The regulator still has concerns about the deal's impact on cloud gaming market and will complete its investigation by the end of April. Quote, having considered the additional evidence provided, no, they just corrected your math. We now have provisionally concluded that the merger will not result in a substantial lessening of competition in console gaming services, because the cost to Microsoft of withholding Call of Duty from PlayStation would outweigh any gains from taking such action, says Martin Coleman, chair of the independent panel of experts conducting the CMA's investigation. The CMA had originally provisionally concluded that a Microsoft strategy to withhold Call of Duty from PlayStation would be profitable. Microsoft wasn't happy with that conclusion and publicly criticized the regulator's math earlier this month, arguing that the CMA's financial modeling was flawed. The CMA used a financial model that compares gains on a 5-year basis to losses on just a 1-year basis. What? What? Like what? What? This is remedial math here, folks.
Yeah, man. Come on now.
Come on now.
Move the decimals.
Yeah, right. Listen, if you're gonna take 5 years of gains, you would also have to take 5 years of losses. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And Microsoft argued it had clear errors that ultimately skewed the results. The CMA has now updated its model and admits Microsoft would actually see a financial loss if it withheld Call of Duty from PlayStation. Quote, we have considered the parties and third-party submissions on our LTV model and modified the inputs where appropriate, says the CMA in a filing published today. Based on our updated results, our quantitative modeling indicates a total foreclosure strategy would lead to a significant net financial loss for the parties under all scenarios that we considered plausible. Microsoft says it welcomes the CMA's decision to fix its financial model. Quote, we appreciate the CMA's rigorous and thorough evaluation of the evidence and welcome its updated provisional findings, says Rima Aleli, a corporate vice president and deputy general counsel for Microsoft, in a statement to The Verge. Quote, this deal will provide more players with more choice in how they play Call of Duty and their favorite games. We look forward to working with the CMA, resolving any outstanding concerns. And I'll leave it off there because we know the rest. He talks a little bit about Sony and all that good stuff. So everything that Sony was claiming, we had heard all this time, brothers, that, pretty much the CMA EC had become spokesman for Sony, at least in the beginning, right? Now we saw the EC kind of change over a couple weeks ago. We saw the EC kind of make that turn around the corner, and they now are focused solely on the cloud aspect of things.
Yep.
But the CMA was still the holdout, right? And the CMA was still out here trying to, say that some of Sony's concerns were valid, that they saw, according to their financial models, that there could be a potential problem here. And now that this math has been corrected, they now have seemingly turned the corner as well. And they are now both focused. So once again, we've been talking about this for so long, brother. We talked about so many scenarios happening and how this is all going to go down. But right here, we have the perfect example. If you guys go back and listen to our shows, 8 months ago when we started getting into phase 2, 6 months ago when we started getting into phase 2, we talked about how it was going to be Microsoft's turn to educate the regulatory bodies about how this industry works and about how actually things do happen, right? That's exactly what happened, folks. They got their shot. They had to correct some math, which I'm assuming they probably didn't think they were going to have to do, but they had to correct some math problems too. But at the end of the day, they've educated all these regulatory bodies. The FTC, I'm leaving alone because that's a different thing. But they educated these regulatory bodies and now have got them aligned down to just one concern, which is cloud gaming market, which is the smallest market out of all of this, right?
Yes.
You could not have handled or planned this strategy any better than it's worked out. So let me start with you, PTK.
All right.
Energy shift this week, again, for a variety of reasons. Of course, the people that want to see this deal go through, now we've been confident all along. I think all of us here have been confident in this deal. I put in the DMs, I put the Vince Carter, it's over gif, right? It's over. I did that because you got to believe at this point, I'll never say 100%, but at this point I'm 95% because it's down to cloud gaming and that's the easiest market to take care of. And Microsoft is already shoring up that side of things as we speak. Right. So, but for you, PTK, this news coming out that the CMA had turned the corner, that this math problem had been corrected. And all of a sudden the console market, which was the main focus because Sony was the loudest, right? PTK, Sony was the loudest opposition to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And they're the other console holder in the high-end console market, right? That's now been mysteriously created out of thin air. When you hear that the CMA has come back around now and saying, nope, there's no problem with the console side of things. Now we're just going to solely be focused on the cloud side of things. Did your percent chance of this go up, PTK? What did you feel like this kind of meant overall now that the EC and the CMA are aligned in their one concern, seemingly, that it's just the cloud gaming division? Or the part of the industry, I should say? And do you think they do wrap this up at this point? That we get favorable rulings at the end of April from the CMA and May 22nd or whatever it is for the EC now. And then what do you think going forward? Do they close over the top of the FTC, or do they go to, or do they try to wheel and deal with the FTC and the FTC backs down? What do you think here, PTK, overall?
All right, so I'll try and go through these one at a time as best as I can.
You answer them how you want to, man. You answer how you want. It's an open general. What are you feeling, PTK?
So first things first. Do you guys smell that? That smells. That's the scent of progress, people. That's what that is. Yeah, it smells great, doesn't it? So yeah, that's the first thing. Just get that out of the way. I smell progress. It feels good to have some actual movement, and I think that the people, I mean, a lot of people here, I know us here at the Shop Podcast on this panel, we all were confident that this deal was going to go through, but this is a gigantic hurdle. I would say it was pretty unexpected. I don't think any of us saw this coming. Not in this, maybe not in this fashion. This was swift. This was like we just needed to move a decimal. Everything works out. Okay, send this back to them. We're good. We're good to go, right?
We effed up. We don't want to keep this secret for too long because it's going to look worse.
Let's not hold on to this. We can't wait till Monday morning. Get the email out, right? We need to make sure this goes through Friday evening, whenever it happens. So this felt like that type of situation. And it feels good. Let's be honest, and it just once again, Sony has painted itself in a corner and they find themselves stranded and alone on this lonely island that they put themselves on. They've isolated themselves. And you said this, Pong, when you go scorched earth, this is the risk that you take.
Correct.
Going scorched earth. Sometimes you turn around, you've burned everything around you, and you're standing on the last piece of earth left to stand on. And that is Sony at this point. At this point, that is Sony. And you gotta feel good if you're Xbox, if you're an Xbox fan in the ecosystem, if you're a gamer in general, because you're gonna be able to take advantage of this. We're not trying to take games away. We want to make sure games, are be able to, get to this 2-3 billion gamers we're talking about. We need this to happen. We have a vision. We have Game Pass. We need that to expand. We're a leader, and they're diving headfirst into this AI. You know what I mean? They're doing that. They're diving headfirst into the cloud. They're leaders in that, right along with Amazon. They need this. They need this to happen. And it's just another example of why it needs to happen. The entire market is on the side that this is a benefit at this point, Paul.
Correct.
Like let's really take a look at this. Like, we need to take a step back. If you're somebody still standing on that side of the fence, take a step back and really, really take a step back and look at where you're at. Because the entire industry feels like this is going to be beneficial. Matter of fact, a majority of them from the beginning, I'd say probably at least 60-70% of them from the beginning were with this deal. And a lot of them were the bigger publishers as well. So, we saw that right out the gate. So I do think this is going to go through. I don't know if it's going to make that deadline. I know there was a April deadline. Wasn't that for the FTC?
No. FTC is later.
FTC is later. I'm sorry. Okay.
FTC's got the August court date set.
August.
Right?
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. So CMA is April 26th, and I believe the EC is now May 22nd. I want to say, or May 12th. I can't remember which one. They got extended, but that's their final extension too. So those are permanent dates. So that's it.
Yeah. So, it's been interesting to see, man. It's crazy just the progress that's been made really in the last like 3 or 4 months, Pong. Because at one point, this was looking like it was going to stretch this thing out. We're like, okay, it's going to be like 10 months of nothing. We're not going to get to hear anything. It's going to be so secretive. We'll hear some like leaks every now and then. We'll get tidbits. But it's been pretty steady. And it's really, really sped up the last like 3 months with, all these new things being discovered, essentially. Like you said, this is essentially just a math equation. The math was off and everything was corrected. Essentially, Xbox audited the CMA.
Right.
Look, you guys got some information wrong here. Check your facts. Go over the math. We got AI that can do the math for you. You can take advantage of that if you felt like, if you want to do that. But no, for real. It's just, it's good to see. I know a lot of people are tired of it. We got to acknowledge those people as well.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people like, whatever. Can't this go away? Even for those people, this is a big deal because this speeds the process up. We see some light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if this makes E3. Does this get all done before then? Who knows? You got the thing in August. You're like, I don't know. Like, we don't know if it's going to drag out. Even if it doesn't, this is a big, big, big hurdle, and I'm really, really excited that this actually happened. So
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Yeah, I think that's the general sentiment going in. I got to finish listening to Hogue. Hogue put out a new video today. Shout out to Hogue again and the family over there.
Shout out to Hogue.
Yeah, he put out another video today. I got to finish listening to it. But obviously, he tweeted out that it was good to see the CMA finally come to the same conclusion that he's been saying all along, right? That and other people as well that wasn't the case. That this wasn't a problem within the console market. Fuzzy. I'm going to throw you a curveball here, brother, because we kind of talked last night and that kind of stuff, and we always do because, of course, we're on Xbox Ultimate together, so we cover a lot of the same topics. But I'm going to throw a little curveball here at you, and I'm going to bring in kind of what PTK kind of brought up there while he was talking, which was the Sony being an island, and I'm going to add to that with the scorched earth tactics that they've used so far, which again was appropriate. And from a business standpoint, if you're protecting yourself, you're going to do whatever it takes. So, but there are risks involved, and I want to go down the Pandora's box road too, Fuzzies. That they've opened up Pandora's box because we had a Democratic senator come out this week as well, on top of everything else. For people who don't pay attention to politics, we got a Japanese delegation in the States right now meeting with Congress and talking about trade between the United States and Japan. So it's a normal course of government business. This is what you do with your allies. You have these trade talks from time to time. But a Democratic senator from Washington, I forget her name, apologies.
Maria Cantwell.
Thank you, Maria Cantwell. Thank you so much, sir. Came out during this and talked to the Japanese delegation about the Japanese FTC protecting Sony and their 98% market share, of course, of high-end consoles. Again, people, if you haven't figured this out yet, Sony created this new market to try to get the regulatory bodies to side with them. So all's happening here is other people are now using this fake high-end console market. But she said, why is the Japanese FTC, which is actually the FTC, is JFTC, it's Japanese FTC, protecting Sony on the home turf and allowing them to become a 98% monopoly, while we're over here trying to hold back one of our companies from acquiring another. And that should be something that should be looked at. And she actually talked about it, right? And so this was a big moment, but this does not happen, Fuzzy, without Sony being the loudest opposition. Again, we were going to see this deal in the public eye because it was $70 billion. Of course. This was one of the biggest deals in tech history. It's the biggest deal in Microsoft's history, period. Of course, this was going to be in the public eye. But because Sony was so dang loud in all of it, they became the center focus of a lot of the talk, right? Their talking points were parroted by the regulatory bodies. So now you got a U.S. senator standing up. And yes, the circus, of course, had a narrative for this too, Fuzzy. She's a paid Xbox employee because go look at her donations, her public donation list. She's been given $500,000 by Microsoft. Okay, let's bust this one open real quick. That $500,000 is over, I think, 20 or 30 years of donations. And it wasn't from Microsoft Corporation. It was from constituents in her town or in her district that were Microsoft employees that had actually personally donated to her. So, yeah, okay. Anyways, narrative destroyed. But that, and obviously Microsoft, that she is a Washington senator does matter because obviously Microsoft's one of the biggest, probably the biggest employer in the state, right? So it does have impact on her. So she brings this up in the name of her constituents. But this does not happen, Fuzzy, I don't believe, unless Sony is as loud as they have been, opening up Pandora's box.
It's
Fuzzy,
crazy, man.
Yeah, this is crazy. When you look at this, Fuzz, and you see what Sony's kind of done here to protect themselves, to protect their business, protect their number one ranking, all that good stuff. What do you see, Fuzzy, down the road here in the next 5 years? Do we see some tides turning when it comes to regulation And now that the regulatory bodies across the entire globe now have a better idea of what goes on in this industry, do you think that this is kind of the first beginnings of more people standing up and saying, I've got questions about exclusivity. I got questions about the market share that you're maintaining by paying off developers. And she brought this up, by paying developers to keep games off other platforms. Do you think this is just a start? Do you think it's a blip in all of this, Fuzzy? And then give me your general thoughts too, as far as the CMA decision to kind of reverse course here, turn the corner on it. Your overall opinion now, where we stand with it. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's definitely a start, and it's one of those things where we kind of joked about this before, where it's like F around and find out. Well, Jim is finding out the hard way now. Squeaking wheel gets the grease. They were so loud about, you got to block this deal, it's unfair, blah blah blah, and now all eyes are on them for the same stuff that they said that Microsoft would do, as far as, possibly making the games buggy, raise prices, all that nonsense, stuff that they've done themselves or probably thought of doing in some cases. And now they have the attention, just not the attention that they wanted or from the area that they wanted. So it's definitely a start. And we've had something similar like this with the auto industry back in, the 80s and 90s, but it definitely will cause them more, I guess, I won't say pain, but the scrutiny alone when it comes to these exclusive deals, playing the keep away game is now probably going to get them in hot water, or make it so something like that cannot occur. Like, you could probably get like early access, or maybe like a time frame type of deal, but to pay to permanently keep something off of another platform probably won't, but at least from a third party standpoint, probably won't be able to fly, especially given that, we're in trade talks and we're, everybody is, trying to be on the US's good side. So that way, when we're battling with China as far as, trade in that regard, they're going to, I guess, bend a little or lean more to what we're asking, just so that way, things kind of play out as normal as far as from that financial standpoint. But yeah, Sony got the magnifying glass on them now for all their complaining and crying and so forth, which, rightfully so. They want to protect their number one position, but at a cost of now that number one position being scrutinized, you're even going to have, I believe, third party publishers and such probably raise some issue or complaint. Like, yeah, I know Sony contributed money to Epic, but Epic is also the one that did not really care for that crossplay tax. And I'm pretty sure there's other publishers, like I think Take-Two is one of them that, like, yeah, we're big enough, we're not paying that. You could do what you want to do if you want, and you might lose access to the game. So I don't think Take-Two worries about that cross-play tax either. But it's definitely going to be something that will cause them to be under the radar, or be on the radar now moving forward. And it will probably get to a point where, after this ABK deal is done, we'll be hearing, through 2, 3, 4 years down the road that, certain things that Sony were getting away with these past, 10 plus years or more, probably won't be able to fly, even if both parties, the third party publisher and the platform, agree. The keep away stuff is definitely coming to a close. But moving to the CMA aspect, it's so relieving to see that, cooler heads prevail, I guess you could say, or things that seem to make sense are actually now coming to fruition, as far as all the stuff before where they were parroting what Sony was giving them just didn't feel right. And it looked weird from a governmental or a regulatory body, just echoing those same things.
Right.
And I guess over time, especially in I don't know if this is going to be the smoking gun or the silver bullet or whatever you want to call it, but the whole deal, once it became known that Jim was like, I don't want a new Call of Duty deal, I just want to block this merger.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that was probably the nail in the coffin for to help push or nudge these regulators to kind of say, you know what, you're not even like you got us to play this game so you could get at the table and get an agreement, but you don't even want the agreement, so you're wasting our time.
Yep.
And
No good faith.
if you've ever seen politicians, like, yeah, they're happy to take donations and shake babies and kiss people or whatever.
Say shake babies, shake hands, and
Shake
kiss
hands,
babies. Not
Yeah,
shaking
man,
babies.
we
We
don't
ain't
shake the
shaking babies.
We don't shake the baby.
No, but yeah, it just seems like once the politician feels that you're wasting their time, they get annoyed. Or a regulator, any governmental body, once they feel they're being used, because they're the ones that like to use and abuse things.
Right.
Once they feel like they're being used, you're off the list. You're now in the corner, and you're going to pay for it. So I think that whole we don't want to deal, we want to block the merger, pretty much was the nail in the coffin for this whole deal as far as what Sony was trying to accomplish. And it's great to see that the CMA is seeing the big picture or looking at the overall picture. Mm-hmm. Sure, they're trying to on the face of things, trying to make sure the competition is fair for their consumers and constituents in their region. But the way it was playing out originally, where Sony was kind of leading that conversation, just didn't ring true what their mission statement says as far as protecting the consumer. So this shift, it's a welcome shift, and hopefully now this makes Sony kind of move on past this. We're weak and we're not. We may be number one, but we're these guys that are going to be in threat of foreclosure with this Call of Duty thing. Hopefully they can go and do their showcase, because they've been putting off a showcase for what it feels like 2 years now. Yeah, so maybe they can now move on and show what they've been kind of holding close to the chest for this past year and a half. And then they can also go back to focusing on those service games, because I'm hoping, of all things, that maybe a SOCOM is mixed in there, or Twisted Metal, or Resistance, or something along those lines might be mixed in there. Not really looking forward to the Horizon one, because if they're going with the Fortnite kind of stylized look, I'll pass on that. But yeah, Sony kind of played their cards and got beat. Their bluff got called, and now they're looking on the outs, and they're no longer relevant in the conversation of this merger. So, I'm glad that the CMA is moving forward, and like PTK said, the smell of progress is an awesome thing. So I can't wait.
Yeah. It really is. PTK, did you have any thoughts on Pandora's box here with the Japanese trade talks happening in a democratic center? And I say democratic because obviously the FTC is held by the Democratic Party right now, and they're the ones that are putting up a strong fight. So it was interesting that a Democratic senator came standing up and saying, "What about this monopoly over in Japan? You're letting Sony just run the high-end console market over there. What's going on with that?" Did you have any thoughts on that, PTK, at all?
Just a quick point. It's just ironic how this is all. I want to say backfire may be too strong of a word to use here, but seemingly this is all bounced back on Sony in such an odd way, right? In such an ironic way, and that's kind of what I want to say about that, is that this seems to be par for the course here for Sony, right? Like they've sat on their hands, they've allowed this to happen. They went with this scorched earth tactics, knowing that this is about the worst result you could have. Like if they planned out like what if they had a Thanos like situation, right? Like how many results could this be? This would probably be in the bottom like 10% as far as like what could happen. That's bad out of this deal. So it's interesting to see that this is kind of turned on them. It's kind of turned a spotlight, to kind of put the spotlight in their own backyard. Now, how far that actually goes,
right?
That remains to be seen, right? Is that going to get heavily investigated? We are depending on, a completely different country, completely different group of individuals to to take that seriously. Do we know if they're going to take it as seriously? I can't say that they will.
They
Maybe
did say they were going to look into it, but how far that goes, we don't know, right?
We don't really know. We can't say, right? So I don't want to put, I'm not trying to, put too much of a button on it. But yeah, ultimately, it is interesting to see how the tables have turned here. Sony put all that time and effort into slowing this down. Then it gets leaked that Jim Ryan just comes out and said, "Hey, my whole goal here is I don't give a shit about none of the other stuff. I just want to stop this thing, right? Like I want to stop this thing. Like that's all I'm trying to do here. Look, hey, I'm Mr. Chaos here. I'm just walking in the room, breaking stuff, pushing people over, knocking glasses over, doing things like that. So, it's kind of all been all downhill since that point in time. So I do think that raised some eyebrows at the governing bodies that are really taking a deep look at this deal. Right? It did show that hubris, right? Word of the day here that Sony usually walks around with, right? And it's just in the, you can't really, there's no cupcaking that, right? When that comes out, you can't really say, oh, well, Jim was just having a bad day.
Yeah, no.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say, well, Jim, what he really meant. Like you can't. Jim messed up. Jim was like, "Hey, man, I'm just here to mess things up. Like, I don't care about none of this other stuff." Right. So it's kind of ironic that this kind of double back on Sony. Is this gonna hurt Sony? No, Sony's gonna be fine. They'll be fine. They're gonna continue to make games, right? They continue to do their thing, sell consoles. It is ironic that all this effort and time that they put into this is probably going to be all for naught, all for no reason. And they're going to end up probably, I don't say in a worse spot, but with even less influence on the deal than they originally had.
Right. Yep. Nope. I can't agree more. What I will say about the Japanese FTC, and they did say they were going to take it serious and they were going to look into it. So no matter how far that may go now, what I will say is just my thought, my speculation town, is when Microsoft goes to make that next move, and there will be a next move, folks, make no mistake about it. This ain't the end. When that next move happens to be in the East, they might get a little bit more favorable response from the Japanese government, which everybody says is so hard for an American company to make a purchase over there. There might be a little leeway given as a favor, right, to this whole conversation that just happened on the Senate, with the Senate, right? So I think that's where that might be a benefit to Microsoft, that they might have set themselves up with the door's been cracked open a little bit over there, that might have a little bit easier time when they go knocking on Sega's door, or Capcom's door, or Bandai Namco's door, or whoever's door it is going to be over there. That door might not be so shut so tight. And they might not be have so much resistance up against that acquisition happening. So I think that's where the interesting part is. But Pandora's box has definitely been open. How this all plays out as the years go along here, no matter what, a light has been shined on this industry. This industry has flown under the radar, as I've said many times, for a very long time, which I'm grateful for. I hate government getting involved in a dynamic, very expanding industry, ever-changing industry. I hate government regulation showing up at its front door, but Sony helped bring that spotlight down upon this industry, and it's not going to go away, because now everybody's aware how much money's involved in this industry. Everybody's aware of the tactics being used in this industry, and they obviously know there's 2 to 3 billion potential voters, no matter where they are in the world, that are gamers now. This isn't a kid's game anymore, and a lot of people's eyes were open now. So definitely going to see some interesting times ahead from a regulatory standpoint, I think.
Oh yeah. So pivoting from that, man, we got some interesting stuff. We've gotten through the meat of the show, so we can actually take some live questions from everybody in chat. I'm sure you guys have been chomping at the bit to get the questions in this week. Drop your questions right now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. Drop them in chat right now. We're going to get to as many as we possibly can. I do want to talk about something here specifically, guys, that I want to get into just here between us in the panel and the chat here before we get to these questions, because I'm sure the chat's getting those all ready for us, getting them lined up. So go ahead and drop them in there. But I want to talk about this Spider-Man Starfield stuff possibly, right?
Heavyweight.
Yeah.
Heavyweight showdown,
matchup, right?
Let's go.
Heavyweight matchup.
Tony Todd's a part of the leaker group now. Let's go.
Yeah, shout out to Tony Todd. I don't know. Maybe he had too many beverages. I'm not sure what's going on with Tony.
Did you see his follow-up post, BTK?
Oh man,
When he
come
was
on.
in the pool, his pool,
Yeah.
and he had his mouth covered. He was up to the nose in the water and said,
Yeah.
he said, that's enough
Sony
for
sent
me
the
today.
helicopter. They sent the
Oh,
helicopter.
you know the
Yeah.
laser
They
pointer, the
sent the
laser sights
chopper.
were on
Yeah.
him. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
They
He
sent
got
the
the call.
chopper. Oh yeah, he got the yeah. They sent the chopper. Yep. So, but yeah, it's just that's interesting to see. I want to get into that. Once again, drop your questions, chat right now. Go ahead and drop them in there. We're gonna get to as many as we can after we talk about this Spider-Man 2. Now, shout out to Tony Todd. We just got into it. It's a great segue, Pong. Appreciate the alley oop, brother.
Hell yeah. No problem.
So he essentially was just casually dropping stuff and talking about stuff that he probably wasn't supposed to.
Oh, he definitely wasn't
if you
supposed
guys
to.
don't know, definitely wasn't supposed to. If you guys
Candyman
don't
came
know,
out. Let's go.
Candyman, shout out to Tony Todd. He's voicing Venom, obviously going to be part of the cast of the upcoming Spider-Man 2 game. He was asked a question on Twitter just from, random Twitter user, and he just went full like left field here, like full left field, like, yeah, we're just doing all this kind of stuff, and here's a date, and here's when all this stuff's supposed to happen, and here's another date. Like, damn, Tony, like, what is going on? Are you upset at Sony, or is the contract negotiations not going well? Because you really just dropped a bomb. So essentially, he said out of his own mouth that we're seeing a game, Spider-Man 2 is dropping in September, right along with Starfield. Obviously, once this came out, the now deleted tweet it no longer exists. But obviously, when as long as it existed, somebody took a picture of it, so it's floating around. Twitter
It's forever on the internet.
It's forever on the internet. You can just Google it. I'm looking at a picture right now. So yeah, see,
somebody's clipped it.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
You can find it 1,000 times.
Oh,
yeah.
That for clip
Yeah, you can find it 1,000 times right now.
Not
just
cap
Google it.
Not
Easy.
cap it.
Oh my bad. Yeah, clip it. But so this is interesting, right? Right. First things first. Interesting, right? He said there's going to be some additional information. He says it's going to be a ramp up in like August as far as like marketing, because obviously this is like 4 or 5 months away, 5 months, something like that. And it's kind of like we haven't seen anything since that last trailer last year, and that's been it. So we know it's going to get a big marketing blow up. There's no way an Insomniac game is not going to be all over the place. The marketing is going to be insane on this game. It's going to be next level. Obviously, we understand that. That's supposed to ramp up. But where are we at on this? The Starfield aspect is interesting because, right, I mean, we're talking about maybe these games going head-to-head. They're naturally, especially if they come out the same month, they're naturally going to get compared. Like just how successful is versus the other. Now, that's the interesting part of this, but I want to get you guys' opinion. And once again, let us know, chat, how do you guys feel about this Starfield possible Spider-Man 2 thing? We're going to start with you, Pong. All right, we're going to start with you. I know you've thought about this. I'm sure you've talked about this many times already. Where are you at on this, man?
I love it. I love it from the standpoint that this is the old school way of doing things, right? This is what used to happen. We don't get this at E3 anymore. We've talked about this plenty of times, right? That we used to get Nintendo, we used to get Sony, we used to get Xbox all together at E3, one-upmanship, that toe-to-toe kind of mentality. Somebody goes out the day before and does something like we saw with the Xbox One, and Sony turns around and redoes their entire presentation for the PS4 in overnight, just to make sure that they didn't make the same mistakes. Like that stuff I miss. And so this is a little piece of that. Having two potential and what we believe will be Game of the Year contenders head to head in the same month. It's going to be fun, man. Sure, there's going to be a lot of nonsense. Sure, Twitter is going to be ugly. There's going to be a lot of stupidity out here because we're going to be talking sales again when everybody knows that Starfield is on Game Pass. So that doesn't really count anymore, everybody. So we're going to have nonsense, but we're going to have a lot of fun too. See two games.
I mean, you're kind of built for this.
yeah. No, and I like I said, I don't like the nonsense per se, but I do enjoy just seeing the competition between two heavyweights, going at it, competing for attention from the media, and that kind of stuff, which both will get plenty of. I'm not even worried about that. That's why I said from the get-go, when everybody started talking, well, Starfield's got to worry about this game. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're just fine. People are going to be all over Starfield, talking about Starfield nonstop. And they're going to be talking about Spider-Man 2 nonstop. Obviously, giant game. It's going to be a huge, massive game for PlayStation. It's going to mean a ton of console sales for them. It's going to be that game, assuming yet again that Insomniac does what we know that they do and they create a hit. Just like I'm assuming that obviously Todd and his team are going to do what they do and create a generational type game in Starfield. So I think this is great for the industry. It's fun to have this happening again. I said it earlier this week. I said it on PM to PM. Nintendo, you cowards, move Zelda to September. Bring on Tears of the Kingdom in September. Let's have a 3-way battle. Let's go. Let's just do this. That would be one of the most epic months in video game history to have all 3 of those there. It's already going to be one of the best months if both of those games hit. But to throw on Tears of the Kingdom would be absolutely insane. Nintendo, go do it. Come on, man. Come on. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Everybody won't know what to talk about that month. It'll be cool. So no, I think this is great. And I don't think that Starfield has anything to worry about. Again, PlayStation, Spider-Man 2 is only going to be on PlayStation 5, right? Like I said, I still believe it could sell 15 to 20 million copies by the end of the year. I still think that's possible, even though it's only on PlayStation 5. Starfield, like I said, is still going to sell a ton because the PC market, again, that's where Bethesda's bread and butter is. Steam sales, it's already the number 1 wishlisted game on Steam already. It's going to sell big on PC. And yes, people on the console side, even though it's in Game Pass, this is one of those games people want to own. The collector's edition's going to fly off the shelves for Starfield. So Starfield's going to have great sales too. Like I said, Starfield is going to be based upon number of players played. Like we saw with Horizon, how quick that got to 15 million, then 20 million, then 25 million players. Expect that for Starfield, and I would not be surprised to see Starfield at 25 million players played by the end of the year, easy. It's going to be gigantic. Spider-Man 2 is going to be gigantic. So this is going to be a fun time. September is going to be an insane month for players. And you're only talking, the people who own everything, they're going to have to make a decision, right? The people who own a PC and a PlayStation 5 or the people who own a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox, they're going to have to make a decision what they're going to do. But Spider-Man 2, we already know, right? Couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, you beat the game, you're going to be able to move back on to Starfield, even if you put Starfield off. Starfield has got the legs, obviously. Starfield's going to be around for 10, 15 years easy. The modding community, we're going to be talking about this game when we're fully into the next generation about Starfield Definitive Edition with all the mods coming to console, anniversary, right? That's what we're going to be talking about. Spider-Man 2 is going to be huge. It's going to continue to be played. It's going to continue to be bought as people transition over to PlayStation 5 from PlayStation 4. It'll be one of the first games. It'll be bundled in everything. There'll be plenty of talk for Spider-Man 2, but Starfield's going to be the game. Obviously, you know where I'm coming from. It's generational. It's going to be around for a long time. But September, I can't wait. The media is going to have a lot to cover in September. It's going to be fun to watch all the highlights, all the previews, all the breakdowns of each game. It's just going to be a great time to be a part of this community, to be able to talk about it all. I can't wait.
I love it. And I love the fact that you mentioned the competition of it all, because people lose sight of that. That's what this is at the end of the day, right? This is competition. We love to see it. I don't really know if we on particularly here at the Shop Podcast, if any of us speculated a date for Spider-Man 2. I don't think we specifically did here yet, but I'm cool. Like I said, when I heard it, essentially was September, I'm fine with it. Like you said, Starfield doesn't need to move. It doesn't need to move. Spider-Man doesn't need to move. Like you said, it's going to be an interesting conversation come September. Obviously, there's going to be things are going to get a lot clearer here by July regarding what's around September before and after. So that'll paint a better picture as well, too. We still got a bunch of other games we think might hit. You got the Hellblades, you got your Forzas, things like that for Xbox, and possibly some other games that we're going to see as well for PlayStation. So that's going to be interesting to see as well, too. But that is kind of funny to see. But let's get your opinion on this, Fuzz. Where you at when you heard the date? Obviously, Tony Todd just let the sausages slip, man. You know what I mean? Just let it out for real, and just I don't know what he was doing or what he was thinking, but that was an extremely casual leak. And somebody in the chat earlier put that he is part of the movie industry. Things are pretty transparent in the movie industry. Maybe he's not used to the secretive nature of the video game industry. He's like, I wasn't supposed to say anything. Like, I didn't know. That's kind of not how we do things in the movie industry. But where are you at on it?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, we kind of thought that this may be a case where, Starfield and Spider-Man 2 would be going head to head. I know before we were joking about, God of War and Starfield. And sure enough, within the matter of days of when Starfield was originally supposed to release is when they released God of War. So this will be like round 2 or rematch, I guess, kind of thing to some extent. But I think it's going to be one of those. Depending on which metric you look at, they're both going to be successful games, no matter what, as far as how you try to spin it. Like I tried to give my prediction a while ago. Like I think within 2 months, both of them hit the 20 million mark. But one is going to be 20 million players, and the other one will be 20 million in sales. That's not to say that Starfield won't sell. Like I think it will still do within its first month somewhere between 11 and 12 mil, because players are going to buy it even if they have PC Game Pass just for the mod sake. Because mods are not as easy when you're playing a game with Game Pass kind of thing without actually owning it and then doing like a separate directory type of deal. I mean, you can do it. It's just every update screws that up. But yeah, I think both of those games are going to be all the talk of the town, and you'll see the console war stuff on Twitter and whatnot, and you'll probably see the ads on YouTube. Xbox podcasts will have Spider-Man commercials on YouTube, and PlayStation ones will have Starfield commercials before they start up and stuff. So it'll be pretty interesting. But for me, I'm leaning more towards Starfield because that's what I'm going to actually wind up playing and falling into. And if it catches my attention within that first hour or so, then I'll just wait until Spider-Man's on sale. Enjoyed Miles Morales, enjoyed the original Spider-Man, but the whole thing that kind of spoiled or soured my taste for Spider-Man was the lack of save progress carryover from PS4 to PS5. So the original Spider-Man game, it was like, oh yeah, I was about 25% through, and then the progress thing having to start over because I was going like, oh, I'll just wait until it comes out, and then oh no, it doesn't carry over. It's like screw this. So we'll see, but I think generally these games will be doing extremely well, and man, I think this is just the beginning of like the head-to-head, competitiveness that Xbox will bring to PlayStation this go around this generation. I'm pretty sure we'll see more of it as the year goes on, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the nonsense on Twitter because people are going to be like, oh yeah, look, it's a system seller. Well, yeah, they had to do a special edition bundle to sell the system. No, I'm just kidding, but I'm curious to see what they do as far as if they do a custom console this go around as well, since they did one for the original Spider-Man game. So it'll be plenty of time for that new, what is it, the Slim PS. I don't think we're going to see the PS5 Pro, but a PS5 Slim, and then have a Spider-Man edition of that. I think that's I won't say a guaranteed system seller, but I think that will help them reach that 20 million within the 2-month period pretty quick. But that's just my take on it.
Okay, all right. It's a great topic, man. And we're going to get into some of these questions. So shout out to everybody in chat that is dropping questions. Mav has 52 questions. You 50 Cent tonight, huh? You got 29 questions, huh, that you want to ask. So shout out to Mav. Got a bunch of questions in chat, but we're going to get to UK Lads first. So shout out to UK Lad, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, brother. He said, which games are you guys looking forward to from now into April? This is always a fun question because we always looking down the line, but there's so much coming within the next like 2 to 3 weeks. So I guess if we'll just rapid fire this. Who wants to start? Hong, Fuzz?
I'm not even sure what's hitting in April because I know Redfall is May. I'm not.
You got
really
Dead Island
looking
2.
to Minecraft Legend. Oh yeah,
That's
Dead Island 2.
Minecraft as well, I believe, is April.
I think I'm gonna wind up picking up Dead Island 2. Like that's probably the big one between now and April. I'm also going to be playing a little bit of MLB The Show 23, so there'll be a little bit of that as well. And then I got my my DLC for Horizon 5. That actually, to be honest, that's probably the highest on the list right now is the DLC for Horizon 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jedi Survivor. Even though I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm not going to get it day one. I don't think. I hate to say it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait on that one. But I'm still excited to see it, and I want to know what people's impressions of it are because, of course, it's Zempella, it's Respawn, it's the second iteration. I'm excited to see what they bring new to it. So I am still excited for that. Dead Island 2 is another one that I don't think I'm gonna get day one. It's got too much to play right now as it is. But I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Dead Island 2, and I will jump into that at some point as well. Otherwise, the last case of Benedict Fox, that indie game,
that's another one
that's coming. I'm really super excited for that. As you guys said, Minecraft Legends, of course, I'm excited for that. It's an RTS. I'm going to be all about that. And then I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to go into the first week of May with Redfall there because it is May 2nd, but also Age of Wonders 4 comes out May 2nd. A lot of you aren't going to know, but it's Paragon. I brought this up, Paradox, excuse me. Paradox interactive game. It has been a PC only strategy game for a long time. We've gotten a spin-off in Planetfall. This is the mainline game, Age of Wonders 4. I've been watching videos from the devs on this thing. Oh man, I'm in heaven right now. The golden age of gaming is here, folks. When it comes to strategy RTS games, I'm just loving life right now. And this is going to be one that I pick up day one. I'm going to support it coming to console. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and go to May 2nd on that. But that's what I'm excited for.
Okay,
I forgot all about Survivor. What does that hit? Like the 27th or 28th or something like that?
That's the 28th. 28th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
28th. So I'm gonna go Star Wars Jedi Survivors for sure. I know you said Pong, you were gonna hold off on that. I think that game's gonna be phenomenal.
Yes.
I think it's like I said, I don't people aren't as I don't know like the Hogwarts thing, and I always compare it to Hogwarts. I know they're completely two different type of games, but I do think this is going to surprise everyone. As good as Fallen Order was, I do think this game is going to be that much better, and it's going to be very evident that it's that much better than Fallen Order, and it's going to gain a lot of attention, a lot more than people probably think it's going to, or may even be considering, because it is Star Wars. I think it's going to be that good. I felt the same way about Hogwarts when I saw it, and I feel the same way every time I see Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So I think that's going to be big. Dead Island 2, that's going to be amazing. I was a huge fan of the first one, played the hell out of it. And wifey played it co-op 360.
It's so much
fun. So much fun. And we don't we don't even play zombie games like that. My wife doesn't really she doesn't do zombies and stuff like that. Like, the Division is about as like serious as she's gonna get. Like, she doesn't do zombie stuff like that. So we played that many hours were put into that, me and her playing co-op back in the 360. So gonna play a crap ton of Dead Island 2. That looks amazing. Minecraft Legends, Game Pass. I want to dive into that. I definitely want to see how good the game is. Like, it looks really, really interesting. That's kind of are you excited about that, Pong? It's kind of
I did say that. I said of course Minecraft Legends because it's an RTS. So I'm going to jump into it. I'm not a Minecraft guy, so we'll see if it grabs me. I mean, I've got Age of 2 sitting here, right? So it's not like I'm doing without RTSs, but if it brings something different, and it looked like it did with the building mechanics that you can do where you can create outside wall, that kind of stuff, splitting up your team, one goes and collects stuff while the others prepare the base and all that kind of stuff. That seems really interesting. So me and Mav and the crew are going to run into that too as well, and we're going to try it out. Probably get you in there, PTK, for sure, and try to see what that game's all about. So no, I am excited for that game for sure. I want to try it.
So those are about the two that I'm looking forward, the three that I'm looking forward to in April. So I would say that would probably wrap that question up. Shout out to 3-Bit. 3-Bit sliding through
here. Look at the man. Look at the man
coming through.
The reason why Fable's taking so long, folks.
Oh my goodness.
So go hit
Get
him
to
up.
work, 3-Bit. What are you doing, bro?
He's the one who screwed it all up.
Work on those textures.
All this stuff's going on, man. That's 3-Bit's fault. So go hit him up in the DMs. Of course, I'm joking. 3-Bit is awesome. He's actually working on the Affleck Duck. So if you think the Affleck Duck doesn't look real, then hit him up in the DMs because that's legitimately him. So there you go.
Shout out to 3-Bit doing some damn good work, man. Doing some damn good work. Super talented dude, man. Shout out to 3-Bit for sliding through, man. So I want to get into something while we wait for more questions. Shout out to go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say there was one question earlier on about with Playground Games and with Forza. I think Lois had originally posed this question early on. What I'm hoping they do with Forza Horizon this next go round is do a soft reboot, like everything that they have in the game is great to some extent. Yes, I would love for them to do like a map in Japan or something along those lines. So we have like the whole Tokyo Drift and Midnight Club Racing and all of that into one game. But I also want to see them do a few more things for like the street racing aspect. Like the festival stuff is cool, but I think if they can just do kind of like stuff where you could just journey around the map, find a group of people, whether it's your racing club or something like that. If you're in a certain class car, do head to heads on the highway, rolling starts, things like that. Or you could have it where there's a certain section where there's like like what people do in real life, like around the dealerships and stuff. Midnight racing. It's like, all right, everybody line up. You head down the quarter mile, and you could put money up as far as how much you want to wager on the race and stuff like that. So I know they tend to go for the more kid and family friendly aspect where street racing and stuff like that may not fall under that, but I think they can incorporate that in the game without it being that detrimental to their player base or to the access or availability that people will want to play. I mean, if they're too concerned on the family aspect or the E rating, then split it off. And if they want to reuse the either Blur or Gotham, Project Gotham Racing, title for the more adult version, then they can definitely do that. And then the E version or rated E version can have like the Legos and the Hot Wheels stuff and all that. But the other one can be, a true, street race focused or centric type of thing. And, I know a lot of people on the forums used to say, don't make it like Need for Speed or go play Need for Speed if you want to have like police chases and stuff. But, I think it would be something cool to see that quality level of detail and handling with a hot pursuit model to go along with it. Even though it's an arcade racer, it's a better handling arcade racer than all the other ones out there. So, just my thoughts on it.
Okay. All right. So I do want to get into something else here. It's actually two quick things before we wrap up the show here. One, I want to talk a little bit about um the Xbox plans, the mobile plans for 2024 that we heard about a little bit.
Mhm.
I want to get into that. I'm sure Pong, you might have talked about that already. Same with you as well, Fuzz. But I want to talk a little bit about that. We heard that they're ramping up. They're going to take a nosedive right into the mobile side and open their own store in 2024. We know they were always already doing this. I believe they mentioned this, I believe, last year at some point. There was another tweet that came out and said that they were talking about doing this, and this was a plan. I saw this earlier. So I want to get you guys quick opinions on that. So we'll start with you, Pong. On obviously this is part of the larger plan for Microsoft, right? We're not just talking Xbox here, but just where you at, on hearing that news.
Yeah, so this is something that's been expected, like you said, PTK, for quite a while.
Yeah.
This was the next move. Again, that's why when people say, Phil and Sati are lying yet again about Call of Duty not being important to the ABK deal, that it's about King. That's why that was all real, right? That was why this was a big deal. They need the mobile side of things. They need King. They also need Call of Duty Mobile too, as well. But it wasn't about the console version of Call of Duty. That's lower on the rung. But this is all in preparation. PTK, we talked about this too. They're going to battle. Next big battle is Google and Apple. Okay. The regulatory bodies around the globe are already looking to break up Apple and Google's duopoly of the mobile stores market. Okay. So that's already a hot ticket item for regulatory bodies. Microsoft is going to be first in line to take full advantage. And they're going to war with Apple and Google. And they're going to bust that duopoly. They're going to help the governments bust open that duopoly. They're going to be ready for it. It's already happening potentially in the EU. The EU currently has a new law that might be passed in the next couple months here that will allow other storefronts to show up in those app stores. It will make it mandatory. If you want to do business in the EU, Apple and Google, your storefronts have to allow others to be in there. Okay, so that's the beginning, and the rest of the world's going to follow suit here. Certainly, the United States will be next as a part of that as well, of some type of regulation that will help, get that opened up. And so Microsoft's going to be ready, and that's why they're getting the storefront ready. That's why it's coming down the pipe that this is next year. You got to figure that they're looking at the timeline of when this ABK deal gets done. Again, expecting Microsoft is expected. Again, people forgot that this week too, that Microsoft did previously. Now this could have changed, but previously stated that they were going to close over the top of the FTC if the EC and the CMA approved, that they would just close over the top and go to court. And that means that they would make their deadline of June. And that means they would have, approximately, I think you said March, right? Was the report, it was March next year is the big move, PTK? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So they would have approximately 9 months to get the King side of things acclimated enough internally with Microsoft once the deal closes with ABK, and to be ready to go full force into the mobile storefront. And I think that's their plan. So this all lines up. Great to hear it. Love it. Competition is good, folks. Competition is good. Apple and Google have run the show for way too freaking long. It's about time Microsoft steps back in. I would like to see them bring back the Windows Phone personally, but that's another story.
Shout out to Jez.
Shout out to Jez.
I
agree. I liked it. I didn't appreciate it as much as I now would appreciate it now that they have everything integrated the way that they do. A new Windows Phone with Xbox integrated into it. Brick, that would be fantastic. Let's go. So, but yeah, no, I'm just happy to see them making these moves because it's about time that something like this happens.
Awesome. Where you at on this, Fuzz?
Man, it's I would say about time for them to consider getting into the mobile space. Windows Phone, I guess it may not have been like a full-fledged effort like they probably should have, even though I know they when purchase was at Nokia at the time to kind of get that going. But I think now with them focusing on having the store, the content, the apps and all that stuff, and making it easier to have, the same apps as Android available on their storefront, and then having a very, curated or decently, full catalog of games for their app store. I think that's going to be the big push as far as helping that along, and looking forward to it. I've fallen out of favor with iOS many moons ago for silly stuff, and Android's kind of getting on my nerves now. I usually go for the pure form of Android with Pixel, but they just keep doing the just every little change. Although, yeah, I know Microsoft is guilty of it with our dashboard on the console and stuff like that. But it seems like sometimes Google just says, "Hey, let's ask a focus group as opposed to the people who actually buy our product what we should do," kind of thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to them, taking on iOS, taking on Android, and it's about time. It was a shame that they dropped Windows Phone when it did. Now maybe they'll have a better end to if they ever decide to get back into the hardware game, but at least have the operating system for a phone, or at least have the store as an option on an existing Android or iOS device. So that way, for those that prefer Xbox in many different ways, they can use that in place of it, especially if they already have the game, so they don't have to buy them twice or do Apple Arcade if you already have access to some of those same games through Game Pass and such. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and just to put a bow on this topic, and we're going to probably wrap up the show on this one. I agree. I'm in agreement with both of you guys on that. It's about time. It's just taking far too long for another, a serious company with enough capital, with enough cachet to enter that space, that understands how that space works. Because not anybody could just put themselves in that space, right? Like that is a grind. That is a blender. Google and Apple, that is a blender. You're sticking yourself right in the blender and you're going to get shredded up. And Microsoft is about the only company that I think could withstand, and that has the infrastructure, that actually has something to offer that can actually withstand up in that area. So I think it's great that they're doing this. Obviously, this is all part of the plan, right? The larger plan with Xbox. And I think it's key that you have the infrastructure. You have, like you said, a dedicated store that's like properly functioning. You got to get that right out the gate. So that's almost more important, right, than anything else. The software has to be where it has to be right? Like you got to make yourself unique. There has to be something unique about your store that separates it from the other two, but it has to be secure. People got to be, ease of use is really big because we're all so only used to using the Google Store, the Play Store, or the Apple Store. That's it, right? That's really the only option that we have generally. Most of, like, 95% of us, only have those two options. So, hopefully they get in this space, they do something innovative. Game Pass is huge. You're going to have your actual video game first party stuff there. Then, like you said, be available and open, right, to allowing Apple as well as Google, to take use of that space as well too. So that way we have that familiarity as consumers, right? Because we don't want to go too far off the beaten path, because that's kind of where you lose us and we get disinterested and we'll go right back to what we're used to, right? So hopefully they got some cool ideas and they bring something new to the space. That's my hope. And the cool part about this, and we didn't even get to this, is the AI integration, right?
Yep. Correct.
Yeah.
I was just going to bring that up.
I know.
You read my mind again.
Yeah,
right?
man.
You read my mind. Sorry, PTK. I don't mean to step on your toe. I just want to say overall what I was going to say. Taking a step back, that satellite view, that RTS view right now, Microsoft just opened war in about 4 different fronts, right? You got the search engine war, which they're starting to actually get traction on Edge with AI. This is actually a real thing. People are honestly using Edge over, or Bing over, Google. This is becoming a real thing.
Bing is shotting up. It's gotten hot, man.
That's what I'm saying. Over 100 million users.
I just downloaded the Bing app. My first.
I've been using. Yeah, I've been using it for a long time, right? Because of Microsoft rewards, right? So I use it all the dang time.
That's why I'm going to start using it.
I go back and forth between the two, but more and more I'm using Bing, right? Now they're opening up this mobile market war. They've got the video game war going on, and they're always in a constant cloud war with AWS versus Azure. They've got a 4-front war going on. This is Microsoft seeing the future, at least from my perspective, right? From my perspective, Microsoft, for once, underneath Satya, is unified in their vision about what the digital future is starting to look like. Nobody knows for sure how it's all going to end. Obviously, there's VR out there, which Microsoft isn't touching right now. There's AR. Microsoft started doing stuff in that space, still is behind the scenes, but not really commercially at all. They put that on the back burner, obviously, but they've looked at the future and they believe, as a company, as a corporation, what they're seeing right now in that vision underneath Satya. It's pretty damn impressive, because it doesn't seem like this scattered, like we've seen them in the past try a bunch of different things, right? Buy Nokia out of the blue, and try just throwing stuff around, a lot like what we see Google do, right? Throwing stuff and seeing if something sticks. This seems like a unified front by Microsoft right now, handling business in a lot of different sectors at one time. Pretty damn impressive, I just got to say. And AI is definitely going to be an advantage for them. Huge.
Yeah, that's huge. And I want to make sure we make highlight of that too, because that's a huge thing. And that's only going to get bigger as this technology gets, more and more people get accustomed to it, right? So it's still extremely new. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show on that note, man. We had a phenomenal show tonight. Once again, just the 3 amigos. We haven't had a show with just the 3 of us. It's been a little while, chat. So it's been a little minute since we've just been the 3 of us. So, man, it's been an awesome show, man. Shout out to everybody that came out and watched live, everybody that donated. Once again, if you do want to take that extra step and support the show, monetarily as well, you can always join. That's always cool. You get emojis, other cool things when you join as an actual member here at the Shop Podcast, if you want to support us in that way. But just being here, hitting that thumbs up button, you guys just giving us the good positive energy is enough for us here. But appreciate you guys. But let me go and pass the baton around here before we close the show here. We'll start with you on this one, Pong. Another phenomenal show once again. Just the 3 of us today, bro. Loved it. And all the chat got crazy today, man. Got real busy in there. So shout out to everybody. But let everybody know where they can find you, Pong. Another amazing show in the books, brother.
Yeah, the energy's up, PTK, in the community, man. Some big shows this week. A lot of positivity, and we brought it here tonight. And Guests are always fun, and you have some fantastic guests. But sometimes when it's just the three of us, it is pretty cool because we get to sit and kind of BS and do our thing too, the way that we always do, because we're natural now at it because we've been together for quite a while now. So really enjoyed the show, brothers. And obviously, as always, my favorite way to end my podcasting week right here with you two. Thank you again, brothers, for bringing it tonight, bringing that energy, bringing those good thoughts, and really good round table discussion tonight. Chat, guys, were amazing. More and more people showing up to the Shop podcast on Saturday nights. Gotta love to see that, man.
You guys are getting me used to this. It has to continue. I'm getting used to it. So you guys have no choice but to do this more and more, right?
This is long overdue for PTK in the shop, right? This is something that I want to see continue. So continue to tell people about the Saturday night that you have here with us. Because this is really a cool part, is getting new people, more faces in here, and sharing in this passion for this industry, this hobby that we do love so dang much, man, that we sit around for hours, literally talking about it, right? That's the best part. So keep getting the good word out there. But thank you all love and respect for coming out and showing it tonight as well. Listen, everybody, you know how to find me. Pongsoul on Xbox, Pongsoul on Twitter. Next week, even though I'm not there ever really, it doesn't matter. I'm still part of the panel, and I love this dude, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, 5 days a week, but Tuesday's my favorite. Xbox Factor podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Be there. He always has the great conversations, the good topics, and Boom's one of the best in the business. So please go check that out on Tuesdays. Thursday nights, it's over on Fun Speculations channel. It's PM in the PM. Pong and Mav in the PM, two-man show, unless we have a guest. You get to see me in the lead chair because Mav gave me the lead, and I have a great time on Thursday nights doing that. And him and I sit down just like Steele and I do on Saturday mornings and just catch up on our week, talk about all the good talk about all the news, and have a great time with the chat. So be there every night. We were building a huge community over there as well. Mr. 3K Fun Speculation now. Shout out to Mav and Caitlin hitting 3K subs. Big.
That's a big deal, man.
Big mark, a huge deal, and the growth over there has been just awesome. So, but Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, be there. It's just fun. And then Friday nights back on Fun Speculation channel for Xbox Ultimate, where things go every which way that they possibly can, but we actually do get down to business. We do talk gaming news. Last night, we cut it short to go play games because at the end of the day, we're still gamers and we all want to go play Diablo 4. So Mav cut it short, but it's still a great time every Friday night. You don't know how long we're going to go for. You don't know what we're going to talk about. So just be there, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, Fun Speculations channel. Saturday mornings, it is the living split screen. It's my brother from another Steel Rain and I going 3+ hours. We were going to cut it short today. We still wound up going 4. Okay, that's what we do. Steele and I have a great time every Saturday morning. We get your weekend started with energy, live, raw, and uncut, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, living split screen. Split screen's all one word. We are on mission 1K. We're almost to 800. We're doing it slow and steady, folks. That's the way Steele and I wanted it to be. But we would like to see, and we have been seeing new people show up. So continue to help us out there because we have a great time every Saturday morning on Living Split Screen. And then I'll be back here next weekend, God willing, for the Shop Podcast with these two freaking amazing, fine gentlemen, my brothers from another right here as well, PTK and Fuzzy. Otherwise, it's the golden age of gaming, people. Please get out there, play what you love what you play. Please try Diablo 4 open beta. Shout out to Kay Asante, who I hit. He was giving up on it because of the queues. I hit him up last night, and I said, the queues are back to a minute. Get in here. Kay Asante downloaded and played until 3 o'clock in the morning. Shout out to Kay Asante. It is
Shout out to Asante, that fraud. That's fraud. Don't ever put that tweet up again like you actually going to go back and play Hogwarts. Get that crap out of here.
But please, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great time, and I'll talk to you all real soon.
Shout out to my boy Asante. You know I love you, boy. You know I love you. No, but shout out to everybody. Shout out to you, Pong. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Once again, a battery of the Shop Podcast here, always bringing that energy every single week. The easiest way to keep up with Pong, go follow him on Twitter. He's all over the place every week. You never know where he's going to pop up, so go follow him there. That's the easiest way to keep up. Throw this over to the smooth operator, the other right-hand man here at the Shop Podcast, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. Another great show on the books, brother.
Man, oh man, it was awesome being on here with you guys tonight, and man, just I'm having a ton of fun playing games. right now. So and this is just March. This whole year is it's just filled to the brim with games. So this is going to be. I'm gonna try to keep this short. For those that want to hear my rants and rambles on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter. You can also find me on FSP on Fun Speculations channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on his channel. Then on Fridays, Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming. And then Xbox Ultimate Podcast later that evening, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Speculations channel. And then right back here on the Shop Podcast with the family at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Awesome. And last but not least, your host here, PTK Blam, across the board. Hit me up on Twitter, Xbox Live. All of the information is down in the description. I will be playing Diablo 4 tonight if you guys want to hit me up and play that. Probably be in a party with one of these two gentlemen here, possibly as well. So gonna have some fun tonight. If you guys want to get some gaming in, come hang out with us post podcast. So that's always fun. But once again, always keep up with me on Twitter. It's going to be the easiest place to find Shop Podcast information. And shout out to all the new people for real, man. Everybody coming through new, checking out the Shop Podcast. I really do hope you guys enjoyed the show. I really do hope you guys leave with some information, mostly, right? Like you guys learn something possibly here, and have some fun, really. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. If you hit the button or not, just want you guys to be entertained as possible. So we'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. Golden Age of Gaming. Do not forget, play some video games, stay off Twitter, whatever. Do whatever you want to do, man. Peace out. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe. We're out of here, everybody.
Later.